Today we're going to do something a little different. Since I now have a clean house, and if you followed me, you might have heard me mention a time or two that like my house used to be like almost like hoarder status, like the mental health dirty. It was bad. My mother had passed away 4 years ago. I was having trouble parting with her things, ridiculous things like if she had mixed matched socks, I couldn't let go of it. Just all of her art supplies, dried up paintbrushes, and just I couldn't let it go. Anyway, so now I have a clean house. It is decluttered, and like I have a fucking kitchen, and I want to get back to cooking. My oldest son's 24, and I've cooked pretty much every fucking day since he was born. But the last 2 years, I've cooked like a handful of times, literally. And that was like in the last few months that I've done the bulk of the cooking. So for Mother's Day, I got this Berry Mueller pot. So we are going to use this and we're going to cook a tiny version of Olive Garden's Zuppa Toscana. So we're going to do a little copycat of a potato soup. All right, so for this demonstration, I will be using pre-diced onions and some things that aren't the best and organic and all natural, but we are all about working with what we have within our window of tolerance, and that's what I got today. Actually, first I'm gonna go, I think, run and print up a copy of the recipe that I'm following, and I will also link a pin to that so you can or I'll just list out the ingredients and instructions in the comments, so if you want to follow along or if you would like to make this later, you can also do that too. So our first step is to put 1 pound of ground Italian sausage. If you don't have that, you can like get the links and just cut them out of the links. So we are going to put that in our pan, and then we're just going to brown it over a medium heat. And then once that is done, we're going to remove the meat, and then we're going to brown some bacon. All right, I'm gonna get this started and then I'll be back and we'll chat some more because I believe my son needs to come into the kitchen. So while I'm cooking, I'll do like a little story time more on like how my house got to be how it was. For starters, like the way my mom parented us. So like when I was younger, we were poor up until I was about 12, 13. That's when my dad started making money, and then we had money, and then we had all the problems that comes along with men who suddenly get money and power and decide to skip off on their families, but that's a story for another day. So my family unit was, my mom was a very, very highly sensitive person and an empath, and she basically came from a household, like she explained it, that she never got to make a decision for herself when she was in her parents' house. Like she was in the school band, and like if they had a football game like over in Mississippi or like a few towns over, like she couldn't even go because her parents were that strict. Then she married my dad. He was an older man. He was 8 years older than her, and she married him, and he was a narcissist and very controlling. So she went to another man who she didn't have to think or couldn't make decisions for herself. Kitty, you do not belong. Nope. So with that being said, so my mom would always say that I can't make a decision like to save my life, and she's like, I don't know, I don't understand it, I just can't. And I understand that now as an adult, because that's exactly how I explain what I feel internally. So when we started, so when our rooms would get dirty, like my mom would fuss and fuss and fuss, and remember, she's a highly sensitive person and empath, so we would get away with it, and we'd go months, and it would just pile up and get worse until one day she had enough. She fucking snapped. She'd come in the room and like everything. She'd turn over nightstands, everything on the dressers, everything on the shelves, everything on the desk, beds flipped upside down, and then you had a mess to clean up. So it would get cleaned up, and then the cycle would repeat. I apologize for the lighting. Like, I have like hella, ow, kitty, like so many lights, and then like in my living room, there's just, anyway. So, and it's cloudy today. We're supposed to be getting rain, so it's like going from dark to light, dark to light. Okay. So where were we? Mom would come, flip it up, and then the cycle would repeat. Well, then at about 13, when we had money, like, we no longer had to worry about cleaning our houses. We had a house cleaner that came 2 or 3 times a week, and all I had to do was just put my clothes away. They were on my bed, folded. That's all I had to do. So that was it. Not blaming it on anything, but again, like I said, it's a pattern that's starting to present itself because my mom didn't know how to put her foot down and make us do things, and she didn't have emotional maturity or couldn't regulate her emotions because she was such in fight or flight and walking on eggshells constantly, never knowing what mood she was going to get, what kind of husband you were going to get that day, or what kind of dirt you were going to find out. So it was a very, very stressful, very fight or flight type situation. I get it now. I understand it. So anyway, so that's how basically I was too. Like, and my mom and my dad were married for 20 years. They divorced when I was like right after I graduated high school. So I, on the other hand, was never able to keep a boyfriend. Like 2.5 years is the longest. So I'm codependent, have BPD, all these things. Now, I don't use those as like an excuse or like as a receipt for me to, I don't want any ableist tendencies going on over here, because I use it just so I can merely communicate. I use it as the language. It doesn't define me. I'm in remission, if you want to call it. To me, all mental health diagnoses are characteristics and traits that they recognized in a subgroup of people, and they wanted to market a pill or money on it, so they made it something so then we can go and pay for prescriptions and pay for therapy. But I digress. So, all right, we're looking good. It's starting to get the right color. So yeah, where was I? All right, so the ground Italian salsa just cooked, so we're just going to transfer it to a side bowl, and we are going to cook our bacon. Well, we're going to chop our bacon first. Let me take you with me. I just grabbed some already cooked that you just got to microwave. No bacon's healthy anyway. Okay, we don't get on the counter. But it's what I have. Remember, we're all about doing things. Like, my goal is to be cooking again every day, but I don't want it to be at the expense of me dysregulating my nervous system. I'm slowly integrating back into normal functioning adult tasks, and between work and school and taking clients and all those things, like, I want to be a normal functioning mom again. But again, if my nervous system isn't regulated, it's gonna go haywire. And my priority is staying fucking sober and staying off of all of my mental health meds and staying securely attached and all those things. So if pre-cooked bacon that I just gotta jump up is what does the trick, then my God, that's what fucking does the trick. And eventually, maybe I'll get my own pigs and become a fucking butcher and slaughter them myself. But until the day that comes, Walmart bacon it is. And I apologize if you don't appreciate rambling and tangents and side quests and all these things, but this is my neurodivergent brain, and this is what it is. And for so long, I've been told that I don't need to over explain, I don't need to da da da. But I'm not over explaining. That's everything that comes to my mind when I'm having this conversation with you. And it's impossible for me to predict which parts of the conversation I can safely share with different people, because y'all all require different amounts of knowledge to understand things the way I'm speaking them. Any neurodivergent person is going to understand exactly what I said. Or if you're on a spiritual journey, think of it in layers of levels of consciousness, you know. Yeah. So, where were we? All right, bacon is done. So now I'm just gonna add some chopped onions. Again, I did not cut my own onions, even though I have some beautiful fresh yellow onions right here. This is what I went with. So we're gonna saute them. This is interesting too. I've never cooked in like a Dutch oven thing. It looks like cast iron, but it's enamel, it's coated. I've cooked with like Magnolite. I'm a fucking Cajun. All we do is cook in fucking Magnolite pots, like, you know, and a regular cast iron pot, but I've never done an enamel coated one. But I like it. It's so pretty, and it was from my baby. So like I said, I'm going from man to man. So I had this tendency that, like, if I was with a man, like, then I knew what to do, like, because most of the times I lived with them, yada yada. So like I could get up and I knew to cook and clean, and I knew to have dinner ready when they got home. You know what I mean? Like, depending on the relationship, and everyone was completely different. No two relationships were comparably close. That's something I also realized was a trauma response or a safety mechanism, you know, being anticipating people's needs and wants, and just so that way I could get ahead of it and not even have to be asked. But nobody ever asked that of me. That's just what I did. So I knew that a wife keeps the house clean. So, you know, I had the motivation. I would do, you know, this and that. So when I was left after this last breakup, like, it was so fucking bad that I was starting from square one. I knew that if I just jumped in a new relationship, it would be repeating the pattern. And I knew that if I devoted my time into hyper-focus into a kid or a grandkid, that it would be the same thing. So I made the executive decision to, all that energy I would focus on a significant other or a special interest, special person, I turned it around and I focused it on me. So, my dad got me a housekeeper, so they came twice a week for about a month, and then we got it like decluttered, and I got everything moved out, and it was just like furniture and all the stuff. It was in storage, all my mom's old stuff and all the things that I didn't use. And then we could start from square one. I said my dad, but really it was my stepmom. All right, so I decided we're going to transfer into the big trusty old Magnolite, because I have, it's chock block full. I put the ground meat, or not ground meat, the Italian sausage back in here. The onions sauteed, they're cooked down, and I just added some chicken broth, like I degreased the bottom of the pan too. So all that flavor is in there. So I'm just kind of letting it simmer a little bit so we can add some of the juices. And I think I'm gonna add my flavoring. I got some good old Tony Chachere's. I'm gonna put some of that in there. I'm gonna put some salt and pepper. I'm going to put some rosemary, oregano, thyme, just my usual trio, and basil. Basil, oregano, and thyme. So, and again, I'm Cajun. We just eyeball and shake, and you taste it as you go. That's how you got to do it. So, yeah, so the house got manageable, and then now she comes once a week sometimes more. But my house is manageable now. Another thing I did was I got a skylight calendar. And I do Walmart grocery delivery and Walmart pickup. So all my things that I go through on a weekly basis, like milk for my son, eggs, bread, Lunchables, like that's delivered once a week. And then the things that change, like if I'm gonna cook a specific meal, this that I know, so I'll do that and I'll go and pick it up. Number one, it keeps me from compulsive buying shit because I barely eat. In 2019, I had the gastric sleeve, so and I never stretched my stomach out, so I still barely eat. And then with the whole spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, and like the autism and all that stuff, like my eating, like I remember to eat now again, but like I'm actually like I'll get hungry, like I'll get the sensation that I'm like, ooh, I need to eat because I'm hungry, But so that's what I've done. This is my little skylight calendar. And I can add groceries if we need to do anything, tasks, my son's daily chores and to-dos on there. I have my calendar. It syncs up to my Google Calendar. And so where were we? My phone died, so I had to go and put it to charge. So I've since then added the potatoes, and I did use canned, already sliced potatoes because, like I said, we're trying to sustain a regulated nervous system while adding in new tasks that are part of what a mother has to do, and a homeowner and the head of household. Like, I've got to be able to cook, I've got to be able to manage groceries and stuff like that. So got the house under control, and I understand not everybody is in this position, but 2 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. My father and my stepmom are showing up in my life a hell of a lot different than they are because my behavior's changed. I stopped using an excuse and relapsing and just toxic relationships, and I worked on myself and I healed, and I completely changed who I was and how I showed up in this world. And just by doing that and focusing on myself, not, oh, well, this is unfair, that's unfair, like new relationship dynamics began to develop with the people that were in my life, that I did decide, like, hey, I understand it's toxic and not healthy, but I want to maintain this. And I'm just going to work on focusing on the things that that person triggers or brings up in me that's alive and very valid. And I'm going to work with it on my own. And in doing that, my dad started showing up completely fucking different. Also, I don't care what you have to cut out. If you're getting your nails done, if you're going to the bar once a month, even if you do not have at least a month or two of your bills saved up, and if you don't have enough money, like save up enough money to where like the first of the month, boom, you pay all your bills for the month, like, or whatever, like make sure you have a full month's worth of bills before you spend anything on ridiculous stuff or anything like that. Now, not to say that's going to be forever, but you need to regulate your nervous system. Nothing will come to you in this world. You will never be able to heal and be your fullest potential unless you regulate your nervous system. And in order to do that, you need to look at a few things. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and look at Levels of Consciousness by David Hawkins. You need to have food and shelter and monetary basics covered. Whatever you have to do that, do it. Apply for financial aid, be a DoorDash driver or a dog walker. There are things you can do. You might think you're above it or too good for it, but it doesn't matter. No, you aren't, because if you say you don't have a car, you can't go hop in and do DoorDash, then you need to do what you can to regulate your nervous system so you can go on and from there. I also added a carton of bone broth, and I added this is probably about like 2 cups of water, and I added a little pint, whatever this little size is, of heavy whipping cream. And I don't have kale with me, so I didn't put that in. But yeah, and I dropped 2 eggs in it because I'm going to boil them as this cooks down and simmers over the next hour. Just because I feel like I want that. And I popped 2 breadsticks in the oven. One for me and one for my son. And then that's basically it. This is what it's looking like. I'm gonna let that cook. And yeah, well, I enjoyed this little talk. And if you have any follow-up questions or anything you'd like for me to talk about next time, please let me know because I can chat for forever. And I think what I'm going to do is upload this as a premiere so that way I can be in the comments and chatting along with anybody that might have something to say. So I'll probably make a post or make a little short video that has a link maybe and set the premiere. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's basically it. Making sure you make your life as easy as possible. Cut out anything that's unnecessary, and getting your nails done. I understand. I know, like, I'll go to Walmart and get some little press on nails or something, like, and do that. I can still pamper myself and be smart with my financial choices. Chances are, if you're watching this, you did not gain financial education. You didn't get emotional regulation education. You didn't get any of the important things that you need to function and get along in the world as an adult. Or maybe you did, and maybe, it's just you have, things like I do, like autism, ADHD, BPD, things like that. Maybe you come from addiction. But the thing about it is this can help with whatever across any transformation you're going through. Also, like perimenopausal, making sure I take vitamins and go to my doctor's appointment to get the blood work, proper blood work, and find out my hormone levels and things like that. And, taking my iron and making sure I have enough protein first thing I wake up in the morning, and drinking a bottle of water before I wake up. Ooh, and this is another definite must thing. So whatever time I have to wake up, I set my alarm an hour earlier, and then I have it programmed, like my Alexa. I have it programmed, which it's Jay Shetty and Laura Lynn Jackson's episode they did on her book Signs. Because I was skeptical about subliminals and things like that. So I'm like, ooh, you know what? When you wake up and you're still in that halfway space, because once my alarm goes off, I'm kind of in and out of it, tossing and turning until it's time to wake up. So what I do is I allow that to play in the morning because I know I listened to it before. So I know everything it says and I trust it and I know it. So like it becomes a subliminal because it's playing on my Alexa when I'm in that half awake space. So if you have something that you enjoy listening to and that's something that you're trying to integrate and incorporate in your everyday life, that is a perfect way to program it subconsciously and create new neural pathways so that way, your nervous system is regulated. So if you've found any information in this helpful at all, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel, and please like and share and comment and tell me any and everything that came forth in your body, any emotions, any sensations. Like, let me know what popped up and if anything triggered you, if anything caused an expansion or contraction, like let me know. I want to hear all about it in the comments.